Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan. Let's watch 90 Day Fiancé. Let's get to it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist, and I'm also a professor. Let's watch the show.
You still mad or sad?
When it comes to relationships, I'm a physical person, and I like to have affirmation. And that means, even though we can't kiss, and I've accepted that in public, I still need you to, hug me.
Even I'm trying to hold your hand all the time. I want to kiss you, but I can't kiss you.
Smile, even just smiling at me once in a while.
I really know that you really want to kiss me and hold me and hug me all the time, but my culture doesn't allow me to do that. It's just because of my culture.
So, conversation is going pretty well, and I like the way Nicole opened up with this. She's saying, I need a lot of affection, I need a lot of reassurance, and I understand about the kissing thing, but if you could hug me back and smile, that would be great. She kind of went into what I would call not helpful communication for a bit by saying, I need you to do this. Those kind of phrases are red flags of a desperation and of coercion. I don't know what'll happen with her in the future, but better phrases are, and better ways of thinking about it, that's more likely to be received by the other person and less likely to be rejected by the other person, is to say something like, it really makes me feel loved when this happens, or it really makes me feel unloved when this happens. And I don't know if that's anything to do with you or me. Maybe I'm just a weird person who just really likes a lot of affection. Usually when you take responsibility and you don't require phrases, and people out there, when you're in a conflict, listen to the words that you're using. If you say things like, I need you to do this for me, I need you to stop blah, blah, blah. And even with your kids, sometimes it depends. Kids are different, but with spouses particularly, saying things like, I want you to, is so much more inviting. To say something like, I want to hug you because it makes me feel so good. Okay? That's one way of saying it. Another way to say it, that she's saying it, is, I need you to hug me because I need the reassurance. You hear the difference? I want you to hug me because it makes me feel good. I need you to hug me because I need you to make me feel good. It's a total different, it's a 180 difference in terms of what's likely to be received. One is inviting and one is accusatory and control. Now, Nicole comes off as very sweet, so I'm guessing that Azan is receiving it as such, but if I was there, I would maybe help her to communicate and do what was mostly healthy and could make it even more healthy. And by healthy, to be clear, what I mean is likely to be received well by the other person, which is, what our intent, what our hope is. She's hoping that he will receive what she's saying, right? And to say I need will likely cause him to reject. To say I want is more inviting. And it's not just semantic. It's coming from the heart. It actually, when you say those things, you have to mean them. You have to, because when you say, I need you to do this, it often comes from a place in your heart of, I need you to do this. And if you don't, then, I'm going to be angry at you. Rather than, you know what? I just want things. And I would like you to do this for me. And if you believe that in your heart, it usually comes out in your language.
So the family not speak English and they are speak Arabic.
That's okay.
And the time you must speak Arabic.
Apparently.
Really?
So how do you feel?
I'm very shy.
Nico, are you
Hi. Yeah, I'm happy.
You are with between your family.
Nicole.
You should ask them if I'm dressed okay.
قلت لك واش هنيك ماشي مشكله لابسه عليك وماشي لا It's really okay.
So there's nothing wrong with this, but Nicole gives off a very childish vibe. She gives off a non-childish vibe in other contexts. But there seems to be in all of her interactions, at least on the show, at least a slight tinge of this, but particularly now. She's under stress and she's regressing seemingly. And it's always interesting as a therapist, I think, to evaluate people on, if you just heard a description of the behavior, what age would you think the person was? So if I described to you someone who was meeting a group of people for the first time, and they were hiding their face, and they were giggling a lot, and they were hiding behind their person that they trusted, what age would you think that person would be? Well, usually this age, it's like 4 years old to 4 to 8 years old is very common for that age group to, not always, but to hide behind their parent, to be very shy. When you try to interact with them, at least at first, they don't want to look at you. It might tell us something about Nicole's schemas and traumas. During that time, there might have been some kind of issue that caused some arrested development in her ego to result in it being a safe place for her, or a persona that she had to do to get people to love her. The reason why some people will regress and act younger, there's many different reasons. Like I said, one is for safety. It's always, for all of us, we all regress when we are under stress. We all go to an earlier stage, and we all have fantasies of returning back when we're especially when we're in stress and social situations. We all have a fantasy about being able to run to our mommies and have her take care of us. It's normal. It's a normal part of it. So, but some of us will go to it maybe a lot more often than other people. Because one could say that for Nicole right now, it's fine to be shy. It's fine to be a little, just uncomfortable. But she's a grown woman, and she probably would feel better about herself if she were to say, I'm really shy, but I'm a grown woman, and I'm an adult, and how are you? And this is very difficult for me. And some ability to stand on her own 2 feet without hiding behind Azan. There's nothing terribly dysfunctional about it. I'm not pathologizing it at all, but I would imagine that she would feel better about herself, or maybe Azan would feel better about her if she could stand on her own 2 feet, that kind of thing. So we all have that fantasy to go back to a safe place. Well, if we have traumas that cause us to feel particularly unsafe, then we might do this a lot more often. Other people might, in unsafe situations, become very tough or very aloof or very angry or very rejecting. There's a lot of different ways to deal with it. This isn't a terrible way. Another thing that can result in this kind of behavior is when we're young and we only get love. So it's not uncommon for, in a family, a young child, 0 to 4, get a lot of love and attention because they're just so cute. And then past a certain age, the kids become less cute, and the kids will learn, oh, I'm now 8 years old, and I'm no longer getting that kind of love and attention that I used to get when I was 4. Or they might even see a younger sibling or a cousin getting a lot more attention. And they learn, oh, well, if I act like I'm 4, I'll get that love and attention. They might even be socialized to do that because their parents want to retain a young child in the household because it gives them self-esteem to take care of a young child. So sometimes people at the age of, in their early 20s and beyond will still have this notion that when you connect with people, particularly when you're not sure of what's happening, you have to come at them from a very 4-year-old point of view. Now, sometimes this could be indicative of sexual abuse because for similar reasons, but it doesn't have to be that. It could just be that there wasn't enough love, and the child at 10 years old learned, well, if I act like a 4-year-old, then I get a little bit more love. And so it just becomes this habit that she's doing. I have no idea, but, those are just some thoughts that run through my head as I see her behavior. I don't want to pathologize what she's doing right now. She's being shy, and, there's nothing wrong with that.
I told you, see people in street.
It's
I just wanna
normal,
respect
normal
them.
for you.
This okay. She said, you will come to us, and she looked pretty.
Aww. Tell mom that I love her so much. Tell her.
كده تبقى حسن.
That's really.
Oh my God, that's how, you know, I can see that in Morocco. Yeah.
The other possibility that we could be looking at for Nicole is what we call preoccupied attachment. And this will show up differently at different ages. And if she has a younger persona for whatever reason, it's possible that her preoccupied attachment looks different because of that childish stance that she takes. So preoccupied attachment in children can sometimes look like they will glom on to people. They'll be extremely clingy, and they will also love indiscriminately. It is an attachment disorder, and the style is where the child will love and be friends with anyone. And some of you might actually know kids like this, where the minute they meet you, they're just completely in love with you, and they very much trust you. They have no way of discriminating between those people who are close attachments and people who are strangers. And the reason why that is because when they were young, they were neglected in such a way or abused in such a way that it wasn't clear to them who was supposed to be actually a close attachment and who was not. Because when kids are raised in a healthy way, it's very clear, oh, you people, and usually this happens around 6 months and beyond, the child learns, oh, you people are my caregivers, and other people who sort of come in and out of my life are strangers. And so you people are always there, and strangers, I don't know what's up with them. So you people, I have decided, are all good, and I can trust you. And strangers, I don't know about them. They kind of scare me. If you don't really have people to depend on, then you just say, well, everyone is my parents, because there's no real distinction between the people who are taking care of me and strangers, because they all are unsafe to me. And so I'm gonna decide that I'm just gonna love everyone and throw myself at everyone, because that increases my likelihood of getting love and attention. This is quite a stretch. As I always say, it's a total speculation. I have no idea. So I'm guessing, or I'm hoping, that we get more data going forward. I'm always wishful that they go into the childhoods of these people, but they never do. So by the end of this whole show, I'm guessing I'll be still in the speculation stage, but those are just other thoughts that come to mind.
Do you see that they're really, very, very excited for us?
I'm really excited to meet them and nervous.
لا ما بدنا نخلوكش باقي تمشي بدك تمشي معنا.
They doesn't want you to go back to America. They really love her. They start laughing and smiling all the time. It's only because they liked her. That's why.
So Azan comes from a very sweet family. Sweet couple, sweet families. Now, I will say, I didn't show this clip, but when Nicole was with her family, they were more normal for 90 Day Fiancé families, in that they were very worried about Nicole and also had a lot of stereotypes about what Morocco is like. They're like, oh, don't go to Morocco, it's Muslim. And then one of the kids said something like, well, you know, it's different cultures. Like, they have a different work ethic. The kid, who looks like maybe 13, why would he point out work ethic? I don't know what he means by that, but often that's code for lazy. Of course, racism is rampant in the world. They had a more stereotypical response based on 90 Day, but his family, very sweet. They're just like, I loved her when I heard the description of her, and now that I met her, I love her even more. It's just kind of nice to see positivity for once on this show.
And me, I'll just be in living room, laying in the couch. I'll see you in the morning, okay? You should rest a little bit, okay? I love you. See you. Okay? Okay. See you tomorrow. I love you.
Before I came to Morocco, some stuff happened.
Oh, okay. So the plot thickens.
Before I came to Morocco, I cheated on Azan, and it really hurt us. I'm here because I love you, and I know it's hard to forget what happened.
That's stupid. We don't do that here, you know? That's really not normal.
It was circumstances, and just I wasn't in the right state of mind. One thing led to another, and it was a mistake.
But when she did that, I almost gave up everything. We can't even share a room here. okay? Because my religion and my culture. In my culture, cheating is not like, even almost doesn't happen. Some people in
I don't know. I don't know the research on Moroccans and their likelihood to cheat. Now, I will say it's very hard to study cheating because you have to ask people. It's not like you can have cameras set up in all the rooms and find out if people are cheating. So you have to ask people, have you cheated? So it's always like estimates in the United States, you'll see studies where it'll say, well, so for the average marriage, it's somewhere between like 20% and 85% of married couples have had cheating happen at some point. One of the people in the marriage that has cheated on the other, because it completely depends on self-report. Now, there's a lot of different studies looking at various different ways of getting at the information, and I could go into detail on that, but I won't. But the point is that according to him, he's saying that in Morocco, almost no one cheats. And that's possible. There are cultural differences when it comes to these kinds of behaviors that are based on culture and are based on religion. And so it's quite possible that it's at a lower rate. But I would question that no one in Morocco cheats. I would imagine that that would be quite a feat for a culture to accomplish.
Morocco told me that I'm crazy if I'm dating a Christian girl, because I'm a Muslim. But after what she did, I just remember what they said. Maybe they're right. I'm sorry, but that's really, really ridiculous. That's really not okay. I can't understand that. Why you can spend with just one night with a guy, Next time I just want to use your mind, that's it.
Next time there won't be a next time because I know that I love you and I would never do that to you again. I love you more than anything. I'm not going to lose you over something so stupid.
Don't see. That's all what I can say.
So I've worked with a lot of couples on this very issue of infidelity recovery, and they're doing some good things. She's apologizing, she's reassuring, she's taking responsibility, she's not blaming him for anything. We've seen other people do this on the show, I think. And she's just totally coming, forward with the information. She's not hiding. I don't know how he found out. Maybe she just told him. I don't know. He's exhibiting his hurt. He's not getting aggressive with his hurt. He is getting a little aloof with his hurt. This is kind of his way to get a little aloof. He's a little aloof, at least on camera. Now, that's a good start. Now, what I'm looking for in a couple usually is continuing to go down that road, getting him to express how he feels. He said, I don't want you to do this. This is unacceptable in my culture, and how could you have done that to me? And he's triangulating a lot of outside people. Like, if my family found out about this, they would reject you, this kind of stuff. Instead of saying, I'm really hurt. And that usually is an indication. Well, I will say it's a slight red flag for avoidant attachment, where when we are young, we learn to not be vulnerable. And a way to communicate your feelings while not being vulnerable is to triangulate other people. If you do that, that's going to hurt your mom. Or if you do that, that's going to hurt my family. If you do that, that's going to bother this other person. Instead of saying, if you do that, it's going to bother me. I was bothered by that. I was hurt by that. To say I was hurt by that is an extremely vulnerable thing. And if you learned early in life that by doing that, you would just either be rejected or neglected or abused or something, you learn, oh, don't be vulnerable. But I have to communicate in some way, so I'm going to drag in other people. I don't know if this is an ongoing thing for him, but he was just doing a little bit of that in that moment. I think we're at the end of the episode, but let's watch a little bit more.
Next.
Yep, we're at the end of the episode. Well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle, in which I watch 90 Day Fiancé and we follow Nicole and Azan. Tune in next time when we continue with their journey. Also, subscribe, like below, comment below, hit the bell, become a patron, subscribe on your podcatcher. And please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.